Hey friends, welcome back to this channel. My name is Stacy here with Stacy Makes, and this video today is about how I make my safety eyes. So a few people have asked about this, and it's really nothing groundbreaking that nobody else has already done a video about, but I wanted to kind of just give you a little bit of an overview of what I use and how I do it and show you a few things in this video so that you could have, some place to start. So I will also try to link all my supplies in my Amazon storefront below and in the descriptions below so that you guys have access to the same supplies and some links to the exact same materials that I use. I do have this cart here. You can see I ordered this off of Amazon. This keeps all of my safety eye stuff in here. I wheel it out here into my dining room when I'm ready to make eyes, and then I wheel it back into the closet of my yarn room when I'm not making eyes. And I just keep everything that I need, including my eyes are labeled down in here. Let's see if I can. Down in here, I have labels on these drawers for what size eyes are in there. And then there's just my light, my cups, stirs, my glitters, all of that stuff is in this cart. So I have a UV lamp. I have a couple different kinds of UV lamps, and I'll attach them all. I'm trying a new one that I just bought today because where I'm at on my dining room table, there is no plug-in right here. And the one I've been using, I have to plug into a power source of some kind. So I've been bringing my laptop out here to run it. So I bought a rechargeable one. So we're trying that today. Hopefully that works well and is, saves me from having to have cords and stuff out here as well. So, but I'll link that. And then I have this craft mat that I use. It's just like a silicone crafting mat, also will be linked below. I like to mix my resins. I pre-mix everything in these little 1 ounce cups. Yes, and I just throw them away. I know that you recyclers and people who hate plastics are like cringing right now, but there are alternatives to that, such as little silicone cups that some people use where you can mix in there, cure it in there, and then you can kind of pop it out and reuse these. I just don't have a lot of these, and I just prefer this because I'm lazy, I guess. I also use these coffee sticks, little stir sticks. They're like wooden sticks. I've gotten to where I now break them in half just with my hands because they're kind of long anyway. So I just break them in half so they go twice as far. I also use these paint palettes that I bought off Amazon, and I stick my eyes in here and then as I paint them and prep them, I put them on these plates to kind of keep them where they need to be. And then I just use the stick, the glitter, and I put it on there with this stick. So I don't have any other paintbrushes or anything that I use, and I don't pour my glitter straight onto my eyes, which some people do that. The glitter's gonna get everywhere no matter what you do with it. But also there's chameleon flakes and all kinds of other accessories that you can use. So I'm just trying to keep down the, I guess, what am I trying to say? By mixing everything with the resin directly in this little bitty small space, it kind of contains the mess a little bit more, I guess is what I'm saying. And then just throwing it away kind of helps contain it as well. Now, I am a very, very, very well ventilated area out in my great room where there's the kitchen and the dining room, and my living room is over there, and there's a hallway, and this is a very big space. I don't wear a mask personally. I've never had headaches or anything from doing this. There's fans going in here. I've done this in this room always. I wouldn't probably do this in my yarn room in a small space with a door closed without something on my face because of the resin. I also don't wear gloves, but because of what I do usually with my eyes, I usually don't get anything on my hands. If you are a very messy crafter, not very skilled, I also paint some. So like I kind of feel like I've been around a paintbrush and skilled with consistency and getting the right measure of things on top of the eyes. So that kind of helps me in a way, I think, to not have to have something on my hands because I usually don't get it on my hands. Now, if I do, I stick my hands under the light and kind of just cure it and I can pick it off. Or I have used fingernail polish remover to also get it off of my fingers, but I usually don't have any issues with that. I do keep a Clorox wipe and some napkins handy in case something spills off the side of an eye and I want to clean it up right away. But also sometimes I just I see it, but I go ahead and let it cure, and I'd pop it off after it's cured so I don't have to mess with it while it is wet and liquidy. I don't have any set exact times that I always cure, but I will go into the light for a couple minutes usually, and depending on how many layers I need to do, a lot of stuff I try to put in one layer and then maybe a backing of some sort, which can be a glitter polish, a solid polish, another layer of that same resin just to kind of make sure that it's not see-through or sheer, and then I'll put it back under there for 2 more minutes. But I don't have any set formulas for you. I will, once the light turns off, a lot of times I just keep the light on, I put it under there, I rotate it around while I'm working on other eyes out of other containers, and then I'm just rotating in and out of the light, and I'm touching them, and if they feel like they're cured, I'm putting them over to the side and taking them off the plate. If they're not, I leave them on the plate and put more on it with it and put it back under the light until I feel like they are. So that's kind of how I do mine. There's no exact science to it. Unfortunately, there's no exact formula I can give you for that. But I'll just go ahead and get started and show you a few things I'm going to mix together and kind of show you the consistency of what I'm doing and where I'm placing it. And then I'll just kind of give you an idea of where to start and some of the different types of materials that I use. So let's get into that. I'm going to grab 25mm eyes and some 30mm eyes for this video, because the bigger the eye is, the easier it's going to be for you to see what I'm doing. I use a lot of 20 these days, and I'll probably paint some 20s later, not on camera. But usually I just mix up a small batch, and then I do several sets of different sizes, and then I, until the resin's gone, cure it all, and then mix up something new. So I just use a UV resin from Let's Resin is one I have. I also have some from Ospang UV resin. Again, everything will be linked below. And what I usually do is take a couple cups of my little cups, and I put resin in the bottom first. So I'll just pour enough resin in there to just fill like the bottom up, just the bottom of the cup. Depending on how many eyes I want to do, like sometimes I'll put more. Hopefully that gives you kind of a good idea of how much I have in there. Just barely in the bottom. And then I will decide what I'm going to put in that cup and what I'm going to mix it up with. So I have like chameleon mica powders. So these are kind of color shifting powders. They'll tell you on there, like this one says it's brown to red to purple, and you can kind of see on the bottom what color it's shifting from right now. Kind of shows you a little bit. I keep them upside down in here so I can just kind of see what I'm grabbing at. Sometimes I just mix that in there. Sometimes I mix a chameleon like flake, like a color shifting flake layer, and then I put this behind it. Sometimes I mix this with a fine glitter, and that's all I put on there. Sometimes I do a fine glitter and I put the mica powder layer behind it. My favorite is to kind of do it all at once, but I will tell you that if you do layers, they're gonna look, the more layers that you use, the more dramatic I feel like they are, because you can see the depth of the layers that you're putting on there. Nothing wrong with a one-layered glitter, but I will show you kind of the difference between that. Another thing I have that I'm using a lot lately, gotta find it, are these color shifting chameleon flakes. These are clear-ish. They do say on there, like this one says it's violet to aqua. And so I have been just recently got these, and I love these. So I'm mixing sometimes just this with the resin, and I'll do a really thin layer, get them through the light, and then I'll use that same resin, not all of it, I'll use that same resin and then pour in some color or glitter and do a second layer to finish it off. And so like having this little opaque color shifting layer first and then a layer of color behind it. is my new favorite thing to do. I also have several things of chameleon flakes. So these are chameleon flakes. These, when you open them up, very powdery. They kind of explode everywhere. These chameleon mica powder kind of has a sprinkle top on it, which is a little easier to manage when you're just trying to mix. These are a little more like, you open it up and it's just like, you can't breathe. You don't want to push any air. You do not want to do this under a fan of any kind. It will go everywhere. I also have some neat, like, mixed chunky glitters. Some of them kind of color shift. Let me show you a few of those. So these are real fun to add into the resin with just a little bit of mica powder, color shifting of kind of some of the same colors, and put on just one big layer. I also just have some fine glitters. So these are just glitters. They're just kind of a holographic glitter. I have a set of those. I also have just some plain old mica powders that are solid, more neon colors that you can add to other colors. I have some other chunky glitters that are kind of color shifting, opally looking. So lots and lots of options in my current stash, because I just keep buying little things I want to experiment and try because I really enjoy it. So I'm going to shift your angle a little bit to where you are looking down at what I'm doing, so you can kind of see what I'm doing down on the table. So this is about as good as it gets, guys. But I will try. Okay, so the first one I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take one of these chameleon flakes. This one says pink and olive on it. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in one of these resin cups. Well, this one's not even opened yet. So like I said, some of these are brand new. I haven't tried all the colors. So when I open this, I'm going to try not to breathe and be really careful. See, there's already some kind of flying around. And I'm just going to tap, barely tap, a little bit in there, like that. I'm going to put this lid back on. This is pink and olive, so I'm going to try a pink chameleon powder with it. Let's see, this one is purple, red, blue, green, it says. So a neat color. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. Now these have kind of a like stopper top to them. It's kind of nice. Some of them are big holes, some of them are just sprinkles. So I'm just putting a little bit in there. Now I'm going to take my stick and I am just mixing that up. Okay, this is not as, I can tell you by how thick this is that this is not going to be like just a one layered thing, but we will put more than one layer on if we need to. It's not a problem. So I always peel my stickers off because I find that they sometimes wrap around to the backs and they interfere with really trying to get it on there where you want it. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I hold my eye like this. I don't put, these are sinker offset eyes. I don't try to put a whole bunch of glitter back here where it is black. I'm focusing on the areas that are clear because that's what's actually going to show. So I'm just putting a little on the end of my stick and I'm going to dab it on here. I think I can show you. And I'm just spreading it around, getting it to the edges. And I kind of take my stick and kind of clean my stick off around the edges so that some gets on the edges. And do the next one. I'm trying to hold it in certain ways so that you can try to kind of see what I'm doing, even though I'm trying to make it where it's good for your angle, but so then that makes it not good for my angle, so I can't see as good at what I'm doing because I'm showing you. But anyway, okay, so I think I got those. Just kind of checking, moving it around a little bit, make sure I got it all the way to the edges on all of them. I'm going to turn my light on. There it goes. I'm going to put this under the light like that. I'll turn it up to 5 minutes. Usually while that's processing, I mix up my next batch. So let's do let's do this one. It is Late Autumn is what it's called. The cool color shifting glitter. Back on. There's like a fine sprinkle side and then there's like a pour side. I'm going to use the pour side. And then sometimes I just use the sprinkle side at the end just to make sure I get fine glitter and some chunky, depending on what look I'm going for. So I'm just getting fine now. And then with that, I'm going to put in a little bit of just fine green glitter. Move this over where you can see what I'm doing. Just some fine green. And then I'm going to put a little bit of green chameleon powder in with it, just to kind of give the clear resin a little bit of color behind all of the glitter. Okay, I'm gonna mix this up and see what it looks like. You can kind of tell by looking through it that you can still see very much through the resin, so it's not like I didn't put a lot of powder in it. Wish I had another light in here for you guys, sorry. I'm going to put a little bit of blue-green chameleon flakes in with it. Okay. Ooh, I like that. It's still pretty thin, but I might just have to do a layer of like gold glitter behind it. I'm going to do a 30. If I have big eyes to do, I do them first, so I know that I won't run out of the glitter mixed up, so it'll look the same. Sorry, this is boring. You can still see through it. Sorry, my phone keeps going off over here. got my sound on because I'm waiting for some phone calls. I'm just gonna make a layer on this 25. And I'm gonna, I think, just do these, and then I'm gonna leave some glitter, or I'm gonna leave some resin in here, and I'm gonna mix up some really thick glitter in the bottom of that for the second layer. So I'm gonna pull out the ones that I had in there. I'm gonna put these under the light and pull out the very first ones and put that to the side. Okay, so these are the first ones that we did. This is the one I dropped in there. See that shimmer and shine? So pretty, but definitely still very, very see-through. So we definitely want to put something behind it. So I still have glitter, some resin left. So a lot of times what I do is I just take that same, container. Sorry, this is not the best view, guys. Same container. I put a little bit more resin in it, and I'll make me a good mix of chunky glitter to go behind it. That is this chunky glitter. Oh yeah, that looks good. A little thicker. I have a hair on my arm that is just driving me absolutely mad because it just keeps touching my arm and tickling it. Anybody else have that problem? Okay. So I'm just gonna put this layer on behind. Making sure to spread it out. I don't want it to be too thick. There's that one done. You want it to be able to cure, you know, so you want it to be thick enough to, but you know, if you need to do a third layer, you do a third layer rather than trying to slap it on there and it not cure very good, or it take forever to cure. Pretty. I'm gonna have, I think, just enough. And one last eye. Just kind of try to drag it around there and get the most I can off of the pot, so I'm not wasting anything that's in there. Put this back under the light. Okay, so now we're back to our green. I can kind of barely touch it, make sure it's not too tacky. And now I'm going to mix up a thick green glitter background. Just going to go with some of this plain glitter. And then I'm going to mix a little bit of the original glitter that we used. The original glitter in with it to make it thicker. Much thicker this time. Can you see it? So I'm just doing the same thing, going around the edges, putting this thicker layer on. A little bit on my plate, but I'm going to leave it there because the thing will cure it and I'll just be able to chip it off. Okay, put that under there. Okay, I'm going to get me a clean, I think these are done. I can kind of stick my finger behind them to see if like my finger color is coming through and changing it at all, and it really isn't in my opinion. So I think it's thick enough that I don't have to put it back on. Sometimes though, like if I'm just want to make sure that there's no spot that it comes through, like if I put these eyes on a green plushie and I don't want the green to come through the eye, or sometimes I do want the green to come through the eye, I'll leave it. So sometimes I'll put just a really thin layer of like white UV nail polish on the back and let that cure for quite a long time. It has to cure just to mix, because it's mixing with stuff it's not used to, with the resin and the plastics instead of fingernails. So, but I'm gonna go grab my Clorox wipe. Should have had it with me. I'm gonna put this down here. So what I usually do is, sometimes I'll have like a rag as well, and I'll just take a Clorox wipe and I clean the fronts, and then I roll it on the paper towel to make sure I get everything off, and then I roll it on a cloth and I'll set it to the side. This is how I clean them before I okay. Rolling it around on the paper towel. And there. Just getting extra glitter dust off of it. Turn the light back on. Just keep curing though. You might as well just keep curing to make sure it gets cured enough. Okay, here's my greens. Still a little tacky, so I'm going to put them back in there for just a second. And then I'll go and take you to the good light and show you really the reflectiveness of the colors that we just created in just a minute. Okay, these are done. Okay, I'm going to put these on a tray to take outside in the sun to show you. I'm going to try to show you the reflectiveness in the light, okay? So here is the pink to olive shift that we did. That was on the big eyes. This is on the 25mm eyes. And then here is the green shift that we did. The green late autumn, I think is what this glitter was called. That's the big eyes. Here's the smaller one. So pretty. There's a set. And there's a set. That's a really quick summary of how I paint safety eyes with resin. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I know this is not my typical video that I usually post, but I had some people ask about it, and so I thought maybe it'd come in handy for those that are hoping to get into that. As far as whether I sell these eyes or not, sometimes I do mystery drops. I don't like to do sets of colors and promises of certain shades, just because I love to experiment, as you've seen by how many pieces of glitter and supplies that I had, but I just love to experiment, so I just kind of leave it open to making what I feel like making and then selling them as like mystery drops. So usually you don't know what you're getting in my drops when I do them. So if I have some of them for sale, they'll be listed in my Etsy, and if they're sold out, you just won't see them there, because I don't do custom orders either. But I really enjoy doing it, at least for myself, and it's a fun thing to do, to give to other people and see what they do with them every once in a while when I send out mystery eyes. So thank you for joining me today. And again, if you want to see all of the supplies and everything that I use to make eyes, it's all in the Amazon link and or the link down in the description below for you. And I hope you have a great day and you have some happy crocheting this week. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.